Ignatius of Loyola, I would like to invite you to reflect with me on the lives of three persons. First, the life of Saint Ignatius. Second, the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. And third, our own lives. But before we start this reflection, I would like to invite you to watch a short video clip. And as you pay attention to what you see on screen, on the story that will unfold before you, pay attention as well to what is stirred within you, what feelings and thoughts are evoked in you. So let us take a moment to watch this video clip.
Once lived a waterman who had 2 large pots. He carried water to his home from a well, which was a long distance away from home. But there was a problem. He had the pots on both sides of the stick which he carried behind his neck, but one of the pots had a crack in it. At the end of each long, tiring walk from the well, he arrived at the cracked pot on half full. This went on for several years with John delivering 1.5 missions of water to his home. The flawless, perfect Paul was proud of himself as he was able to serve his purpose without errors, and of course the cracked pot was ashamed of his imperfection and was miserable because it was only able to accomplish half of what it was meant to do. So one day, as John rests at the well and speaks to him,
I'm ashamed of myself and I want to apologize to you. I have only been able to deliver half of my load because this crack on my side causes water to leak all the way back to the house. Because of my flaws, you have had to do all this work without getting the full value of your efforts.
John smiled and replied,
Have you not noticed that there are beautifully flourished flowers on your side of the path that we take and not on the side of the other pot? That is because I have always known about your flaws, and I planted flower seeds on your side, and every day for all these years you've watered them. I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate my home. So without you being just the way you are, they have been such beauty to grace my home.
So let me share with you now my reflections on the story of the 2 water pots. In the image of the 2 pots, the flawless pot and the broken pot, or you might say the perfect pot and the imperfect pot, I see the story of Ignatius of Loyola unfolding. Before his conversion, Inigo, I think, thought of himself as a flawless pot. He was a man strongly driven to achieve his ideals of perfection, to be a swaggering caballero, to be the bravest and the most loyal soldier, to be the most charming bachelor for the ladies of the court. In a way, we could say that he lived the magis, but it was of another kind. A magis that was fueled by self-seeking honor and glory. He was on fire, definitely a man on fire, to be of great service to his king, to his own land, and to his own people. And yet, it was a very different kind of service. It is one that was motivated by an insatiable thirst for power and for fame. And in order to achieve his dreams of greatness, his ideals of perfection, Ignatius or indigo must always put on the armor of invincibility. To be invincible. What does it mean to be invincible? To play to his own strengths, to attain self-perfection, to be complete, to be self-sufficient, and to shun or hide away from any hint of one's weaknesses. So I think all of this can be summed up in one word that Indigo or Ignatius used to describe himself. He said he was given to vain glory. Like the flawless spot, he took great pride in himself. But then it came to pass that this flawless spot broke his leg in an ambitious battle, as you all very well know the story by now. So no matter how hard they tried to put back those shattered bones to their perfect state once more, it could only mend to imperfection. And this was the beginning of the story of Ignatius of Loyola, the broken pot. It set him off in another kind of battle, this time not for his own glory, nor for the glory of his earthly king, but for the glory of the eternal King. This time, he began to put on not the armor of invincibility, but the humble sackcloth of vulnerability. To be vulnerable. What does it mean to be vulnerable? Ignatius tended not only to the wounds of his body, but to the wounds of his soul. He embraced not only his strengths, but also his weaknesses, and in doing so, he found strength of spirit. In place of illusions, or perhaps even illusions of completeness and self-sufficiency, he learned to swallow the bitter pill of accepting that he alone is incomplete and insufficient. And in doing so, there he found delight in surrendering himself entirely to the eternal Lord of all things. So by embracing his own vulnerability, his own wounds, his own brokenness, he found himself always seeking for the matches. But this time, it is the matches that is the greatness of spirit to be of service, not to the most powerful in society, but to the most powerless. All this can be summed up in what we have come to know as the motto of Ignatius, Ad Maiorem Dei Gloria, all for the greater glory of God. So like the broken pot, Ignatius' broken life became an effective vessel of God's goodness and light and love to others. How about this God whom Ignatius adored and worshipped? How about this Jesus whom Ignatius followed? What kind of God is this? He is also a most vulnerable God. This God, who alone is most perfect, who alone is most holy, who alone is most powerful, is also a most vulnerable God. He made himself vulnerable to us by giving us his own Son. When we are vulnerable, we allow ourselves to be seen, to be known for who we are. When God gave to us His own Son, God allowed Himself to be seen by us. God created an opening in the heavens, like a womb as it were, that has allowed us to see the face of God in Jesus Christ. And Jesus, God's own Son, has also made Himself most vulnerable to us by embracing all of our humanity. Jesus did not only share in what is most beautiful and glorious and honorable about our human life, Jesus also shared in what is most ugly and what is most shameful. He did not deem equality with God, as the hymn to Christ tells us. Rather, He emptied Himself and took the form of a slave, being born in the likeness of men. And when Jesus Christ walked the earth, He walked and accompanied and stayed with the most vulnerable of peoples. Those wounded by poverty, by cruelty, and by injustice. He walked with those stripped of their dignity. He accompanied those who were avoided and despised and looked down by society. He stayed with those who were powerless and voiceless and faceless. Jesus loved them so that the world would begin to see their faces and listen to their voices. And Jesus loved them to the end, to the cross, to His own death, and to His rising from the dead. Someone expressed all these thoughts beautifully in one simple line. It said, I learned to give, not because I have many, but because I know exactly how it feels to have nothing. Perhaps after looking at the lives of Ignatius of Loyola and Jesus Christ, we can now turn to ourselves and examine our lives. It may be possible for us to think that some of us are perfect pots, others are flawless pots. But who is perfect? I think if someone thinks that he is perfect, should start to see a psychiatrist. On the other hand, if we always look at ourselves simply as always broken and wounded, that is also far from the truth, and that can be very self-defeating. I think it is better to think of ourselves that we have areas in our lives that we are like the flawless pot, and areas in our lives that we are like the broken pot. So how am I like the flawless pot? What drives me to perfection? What drives me to excellence? And how am I like the broken pot? What are the areas in my life that needs mending and healing? What feelings and attitudes do I hold about my vulnerable self? More importantly, I can begin to think, who are the most vulnerable people around me right now, whom I must walk with and accompany and stay with, so that by sharing in their life, I may become a broken yet life-giving vessel of God's presence and care for them. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, pray for us.